Imagine for a second that you run an online store. It's doing well, you've built a really loyal audience, and you're thinking about how to grow.
Right, the classic next step.
Yeah, exactly. Now, what if you could instantly expand your store's inventory, adding like dozens of perfectly curated new items without actually buying, shipping, or storing a single one of those new products?
That sounds completely made up.
I know, right? Or, well, let's flip the perspective entirely. Imagine you're the one making the products. What if you could get your items onto the digital shelves of dozens of other successful stores, tapping into all of their hard-earned customers?
And you wouldn't have to spend a single dime on marketing or ads to get them there.
Exactly. Zero ad spend. I mean, it sounds like the ultimate entrepreneurial dream, doesn't it?
It does. And, the promise of zero inventory expansion usually triggers a pretty healthy dose of skepticism for me.
Oh, totally.
Yeah, because it sounds like a late-night infomercial pitch. Growing a merchant business traditionally involves this really brutal catch-22. Like, to make more money, you have to offer more products.
Right.
But offering more products requires tying up massive amounts of your available cash in literal physical boxes that just sit in a warehouse, hoping someone eventually buys them.
It is collecting dust. Well, that's exactly why we're looking at this comprehensive guide today. It's titled How Shopify Collective Works. And our mission for this deep dive is to really unpack this native merchant-to-merchant sales channel.
Yeah, we need to understand who it's actually built for.
For sure. We need to figure out how the mechanics operate in the real world and honestly figure out if it actually delivers on this, zero inventory holy grail that it claims to be.
Because to understand if they pull it off, we really have to look closely at the architecture of the system itself.
Yeah.
This represents a pretty fundamental shift in how independent stores interact with one another on a platform level.
Okay, let's unpack this. If you are listening to this and you want to participate, you have to understand the two distinct roles this entire system is built around. According to the architecture in our source, you're either acting as the retailer or the supplier.
Right, and those roles are defined entirely by the specific actions you take within the ecosystem.
Makes sense.
So if you decide to act as the retailer, you install the Shopify Collective app. Your primary function there becomes discovery and curation.
Basically playing matchmaker for your brand.
Exactly. You browse through a network of products, you import the ones that fit your brand aesthetic right into your own store, set your own retail markups, and ultimately you are the one making the sale to the end customer.
So as the retailer, you're the face of the operation for that specific transaction. You own the customer relationship, you get the email address, and you control the whole storefront experience.
You do. But on the flip side, we have the supplier.
Right. The other half of the equation.
Yeah. The supplier installs what is called the collective supplier sales channel. Yeah. And their job is completely different.
They're doing the heavy lifting in the background.
Pretty much. They create wholesale price lists, share their inventory visibility with the retailers, and most importantly, they're the ones actually fulfilling the orders. They pack the physical box, tape it up, and slap the shipping label on it.
So the supplier never has to worry about the customer acquisition side for those specific sales.
Nope.
And the retailer never have to worry about the fulfillment or warehousing side.
Exactly. But the detail in this guide that fundamentally changes the game is that a single store can actually be both of these things simultaneously.
Yes. One store, two roles. That phrase from the text is just such a profound concept to me. You can literally install the retailer app and the supplier channel side by side on the exact same storefront.
It's wild to think about.
It is. So imagine you manufacture your own custom hand-poured candles. You can act as a supplier, distributing your candles out to a dozen other boutique stores.
Right, getting your brand out there.
Yeah. But at the exact same time, you can act as a retailer, pulling in, say, matching high-end ceramic candle holders from a totally different merchant to sell on your own site alongside your candles.
It creates this completely bi-directional flow of commerce. What's fascinating here is the contrast with traditional wholesale.
Oh, it's night and day.
It really is.
Yeah.
Because if we connect this to the bigger picture of e-commerce, setting up formal B2B wholesale operations historically requires a massive upfront investment.
Incredibly expensive and complicated.
Exactly. Think about the old way of doing things. You travel to trade shows, you negotiate massive minimum order quantities.
You're setting up complex net 30 payment terms.
Yeah. And you need enterprise-level software just to manage all of that.
Yeah.
In the Shopify world, getting access to those formal B2B features usually means upgrading to Shopify Plus.
Which is what? upwards of $2,300 a month?
Yeah, at least $2,300 a month. It's a huge barrier.
But the barrier to entry for Collective is virtually non-existent. Like, it is completely free.
Free is a very good price.
It's the best price. There's no subscription fee for Collective itself, there's no commission taken by Shopify for the matchmaking, and there's no revenue share. It's available on almost every active Shopify plan as long as you have Shopify payments fully activated.
Meaning you can run this entire operation on the standard $39 a month basic plan.
Yeah, $39.
By making it free and available on those entry-level tiers, they are fundamentally democratizing wholesale distribution for small to mid-sized merchants.
You no longer need a massive capital injection just to test out a new product category on your audience.
You really don't.
I like to think of it as essentially a high-end digital consignment shop, but it's a consignment shop where you, the owner, never even have to touch the physical items.
You're just placing a digital representation of the item on your shelf.
Exactly. And when someone buys it, the original creator handles all the heavy lifting.
But, the moment you describe a system where you sell things you don't actually own and someone else ships them on your behalf, it triggers a very specific and often highly negative association in the e-commerce world.
Oh, for sure. It is the absolute elephant in the room here, and I really have to push back on this entire premise for a second.
Go for it.
Because when I hear sell things you don't own, my mind immediately goes to the dark side of drop shipping.
Yep, the D word.
The D word. I just picture setting up a store, sourcing cheap, unbranded widgets from some anonymous factory overseas, and then just dealing with the absolute fallout.
The customer service nightmares.
No, it's the worst. I picture a customer waiting 30 days for a package, emailing me furiously every single day, and finally receiving this, crushed box covered in generic yellow tape and super confusing customs declaration.
We've all seen those packages.
Right. So how is Collective not just a rebranded version of that drop shipping nightmare? I mean, how do they enforce any sort of quality control when you never even touch the product?
Well, the source document actually anticipates that exact skepticism. They dedicate an entire section just to contrasting this model against traditional dropshipping.
Okay, so what's their defense?
The key difference really lies in the ecosystem itself. Traditional dropshipping relies on unverified overseas factories where you have zero leverage.
And zero visibility into their operations.
Right. But Shopify Collective is strictly Shopify to Shopify.
Meaning everyone involved is a verified merchant who has already gone through the platform's vetting process.
Exactly. This relies on a really robust trust and safety ecosystem. Because both parties are operating on the Shopify platform, they've undergone ID verification.
They're bound by actual platform community guidelines.
Yeah. You aren't blindly sourcing from an anonymous warehouse halfway across the globe. You are forming a literal partnership with a real, established domestic brand that has its own reputation to uphold.
And that domestic requirement completely changes the mathematical equation of shipping expectations.
It's huge.
The guide highlights that instead of international drop shipping, which, routinely takes 15 to 30 days or more, collective shipping is domestic, averaging 2 to 7 days.
2 to 7 days is totally standard for regular e-commerce.
Exactly. That removes the single biggest customer service headache that ruins most drop shipping businesses.
It fundamentally changes the customer experience, but the branding aspect is another massive differentiator here.
Oh, tell me about it. In traditional dropshipping, your customer receives a totally generic, unbranded package.
Or worse, packaging covered in another company's logos that completely confuses them about who they actually bought from.
Like, wait, I didn't order from this random factory.
Right. But with Collective, the supplier ships using their own branded packaging. So when the customer opens the box, it feels like a premium, intentional collaboration between two respected brands.
Rather than a covert, cheap transaction. I love that. And, anyone who has ever attempted traditional dropshipping knows the absolute nightmare of delayed inventory tracking.
The dreaded CSV file sync.
Oh my gosh, yes. You sell an item on your beautifully designed site, only to find out through a laggy CSV file 3 days later that the overseas supplier actually ran out of stock a week ago.
And now you have to send that incredibly awkward apology email and issue a refund.
The worst feeling. But that friction is eliminated here through platform lock-in, right?
It is. Since the transaction is Shopify to Shopify, the inventory sync is automatic and happens in real time.
So if the supplier sells their last unit of a specific product on their own website,
It instantly registers as out of stock on your retailer's storefront. The product data, the variant images, the tracking numbers, it all flows automatically because both stores are communicating via the exact same underlying platform infrastructure.
Okay, that really reframes the whole concept away from sourcing cheap widgets to make a quick buck and moves it toward forming actual meaningful partnerships.
It's all about curation.
Yeah, curation.
Yeah.
So if we trust the ecosystem and we trust the quality of the products arriving on our customers' doorsteps, the natural next question you're probably asking yourself as a listener is, show me the money.
Always the big question.
Always. How do the finances actually work, and who does all the tedious back-office paperwork?
Well, the financial model is surprisingly elegant. According to the guide, retailers typically earn between 20 and 40% margins on these sales.
Wow, 20 to 40%. And those margins are established through a mechanism they call price lists, right?
Exactly. If you're listening to this and you decide to take on the role of the supplier, you are in complete control of these lists.
So you set the terms?
Yep. You can create a public price list, which allows any retailer browsing the Discovery Marketplace to instantly import your products at a set wholesale rate.
Kind of an open door policy.
Right. Or, if you want tighter control over your brand image, you can create private, invite-only lists for exclusive partnerships.
Okay, so the retailer sees the wholesale price on that list, and that wholesale price is exactly what they will pay you, the supplier.
Yes. Then, the retailer has the total freedom to set their own retail price on their own storefront.
The difference between the retail price the customer pays and the wholesale price on your list is the retailer's gross margin.
That's the math.
Let's put some real numbers to this to see how it functions in practice. Because the source provides a fantastic real-world margin example. Let's say you're acting as the retailer.
Okay, I'm the retailer.
A customer comes to your beautifully curated site and pays $80 for a ceramic vase.
A very nice face.
Very nice. Now, the supplier's wholesale price, which you agreed to via their price list, is $52.
So immediately, $52 is earmarked for the supplier. But we still have to account for the standard transaction fees, right?
Exactly. Standard Shopify payments processing fees still apply to the total transaction.
So that's on the full $80.
Right. In this specific example, the fee is 2.9% plus 30 cents, which comes out to a $2.62 processing fee on that $80 transaction.
We got it. So let's do the math.
You take the $80 the customer paid, subtract the $52 wholesale cost going to the supplier, subtract the $2.62 payment fee.
And as the retailer, you net a pure profit of $25.38 on that single order.
Which is an effective margin of 31.7%. That is pure profit for the retailer.
That's incredible. I mean, they didn't pay the manufacturer to mold a ceramic vase. They didn't pay to ship a pallet of them to a warehouse.
They didn't even pay for the bubble wrap to box it up.
Nothing.
But here's where it gets really interesting. The payment splitting is completely automated.
This is the best part.
It really is. Think about how traditional wholesale works. You have to generate a purchase order. You wait for the supplier to send you an invoice at the end of the month.
You have an accounts payable person review it.
Yeah, and then you manually wire them the funds. It's so tedious. With Collective, you do literally none of that. I like to think of it as having an invisible accountant living inside your checkout cart.
An invisible accountant. I like that.
Right. The second your customer hits buy, that accountant automatically slices up the pie, handing the exact right amounts to you and the supplier instantly.
And that invisible accountant is just the Shopify payments infrastructure, routing the funds seamlessly in the background without any human intervention.
Which saves so much time.
It does. But if we look at the other side of the equation, the value for the supplier, this automated split is really just a nice operational bonus.
Oh, what's the main value then?
The real game-changing value for the supplier is the zero-cost customer acquisition.
Zero CACs. I mean, in the current direct-to-consumer landscape, a zero customer acquisition cost is basically a superpower.
It absolutely is. Customer acquisition costs are skyrocketing everywhere due to privacy changes, ad fatigue, increased competition.
Brands are bleeding money just to get a single click on an ad.
Exactly. But with Collective, the supplier gains entirely new distribution channels and taps into highly engaged new audiences.
Resulting in real sales volume.
Real sales, without spending a single dollar on Instagram ads or sponsored search results. The retailer did all the heavy lifting of building an audience, curating a vibe, and driving traffic to their site.
So the supplier's only job is to print the shipping label and fulfill the order.
Which is the exact operational task their warehouse was already doing for their own store anyway.
So the retailer monetizes their hard-earned audience with zero inventory risk, and the supplier gets totally free marketing and guaranteed sales volume.
Win-win.
It honestly sounds almost too good to be true, which, is always a red flag for me.
Fair enough.
To give you a complete unbiased picture, we really have to look at the catch. We need to outline the guardrails, the hard limitations, and exactly where the system breaks down or who it isn't built for.
Because every system has constraints.
Mm.
And Collective has some very strict ones built into its core. The most prominent is the geographic rule.
Yeah, this one's a big deal. Retailers and suppliers must be based in the exact same country, and they must use the exact same store currency.
Meaning there are absolutely no cross-border partnerships supported within Collective.
Zero. The guide states the ad's supported in over 30 countries right now. That includes major markets like the US, Canada, the UK, most of the EU, Japan, and Singapore.
But there is a really quirky detail hidden in the text regarding that list of 30 countries.
Oh, about Australia.
Yeah. Australia is oddly excluded as a supported country for hosting a store. However, the Australian dollar is listed as a supported currency for stores based in other regions.
It's such a strange anomaly in their rollout.
It is. It likely points to the massive complexities of localized tax laws and domestic shipping regulations that their engineering teams are just still trying to iron out for that specific region.
Makes sense. Let's play out a scenario based on this geographic wall, just to be clear. If I'm running a high-end boutique out of New York, and I'm browsing online and find an absolutely amazing ceramicist using Shopify, but their studio is based in Tokyo,
I see where you're going with this.
I cannot partner with them through Collective to sell those vases to my U.S. audience.
You cannot. This raises an important question about the underlying philosophy of the tool. You cannot partner with them through Collective. If you want to work with that Japanese ceramicist, you have to revert to the traditional clunky methods.
The emails.
The emails. You have to email them directly, negotiate a wholesale rate via a PDF, buy a massive pallet of vases up front, import them across the ocean, pay the customs duties.
And clear space in your own physical warehouse to store them.
Yep. It's the old way.
But if Shopify has the technology to route payments automatically between merchants, why put up this strict geographic wall at all?
We have to go back to why the tool is free. Right, to
what?
keep this platform lightweight, frictionless, and available at no extra cost to a merchant on a $39 basic plan, Shopify had to avoid the massive, tangled complexities of international commerce.
So no international headaches.
Exactly. Think back to your invisible accountant analogy. That accountant can easily split a domestic payment. But the moment you cross a border, that invisible accountant suddenly has to calculate real-time, fluctuating currency exchange rates.
Oh, that sounds like a nightmare.
They have to calculate unpredictable international taxes and unknown border tariffs. The math just breaks down.
Plus, that 2 to 7 day domestic shipping guarantee completely goes out the window once a package is sitting in customs for 2 weeks.
Right. If they allowed cross-border Collective, the customer experience would degrade rapidly. It would start looking exactly like the bad old days of dropshipping that you described earlier.
A total mess.
Yeah. If a merchant truly needs international B2B capabilities, Shopify's answer is that they need to graduate from this free tool and pay for the robust B2B features on Shopify Plus.
So Collective is strictly for building domestic ecosystems. Keep the free tool simple, reliable, and domestic.
That's the playbook.
Aside from the geography, there are a few other hard limitations listed in the guide that you need to be aware of, like Collective is for physical goods only.
Right, no digital downloads.
Yeah, you cannot use the system to cross-sell digital products, software downloads, or even gift cards.
It is also completely incompatible with Shopify's managed markets. And crucially, you cannot use POS pickup in-store for Collective items.
This one trips people up. If a local customer buys a supplier's product on your website, they cannot select pickup at the retailer's brick-and-mortar location.
Because the retailer doesn't actually have the item sitting in their back room to hand over.
Exactly. The supplier has to ship it directly to the end customer's home address, no matter how close the customer lives to your physical shop.
It requires a massive mindset shift regarding what you actually hold in your physical retail space versus the endless aisle you can offer in your digital space.
It really does. So what does this all mean? We've covered the basic mechanics, the margin math, the trust and safety features, and the geographic limitations.
They're covered a lot.
We have. And when you synthesize all of this information, what the source document is really describing is the absolute lowest risk way for a merchant to test new markets and diversify their revenue streams.
It's a tool that fundamentally favors curation over capital.
That's a great way to put it.
Historically, to have a massive store with a wide variety of products, you needed massive amounts of cash to buy that inventory up front.
Huge risk.
But Collective allows anyone who has built a loyal audience and has a fantastic eye for curating products to monetize that trust without ever needing to sign a lease on a warehouse.
And the real-world use cases provided in the text really help visualize how transformative this is. They detail the scenario with a local coffee roaster acting purely as a supplier.
Right, the coffee example.
Yeah, their entire operational focus is simply on roasting the best possible beans. But through Collective, they get their coffee placed into the checkout flows of dozens of online lifestyle boutiques and high-end gift shops.
So the gift shops look incredible because they are suddenly offering premium artisanal coffee without having to learn how to roast it themselves.
And the roaster gets massive, decentralized distribution without spending a dime on ads. It's brilliant.
The guide also explicitly mentions the concept of a home decor curator building an entire, highly profitable store purely from Collective products.
Zero inventory investment.
Zero warehouse space.
Yeah.
Their entire business model is simply curation, brand building, and marketing to an audience.
While a hidden network of verified domestic suppliers handles every single aspect of the physical logistics. It is an incredible shift in how retail operates, moving away from isolation and toward collaboration.
It really changes the landscape.
It does. And it leaves me with one final thought to mull over, building on that one store, two roles rule. If literally any store on this platform can be both a retailer and a supplier simultaneously, what happens when a network of highly curated niche boutiques all start cross-selling each other's exclusive items?
You end up with a massive web of shared inventory.
Exactly. Does the concept of the traditional single-brand store become completely obsolete in the near future?
That's a wild thought.
Think about it. If I sell my custom shirts on your site, and you sell your handmade pants on my site, and we both share our inventory visibility with a popular shoe brand, we aren't isolated islands fighting for the same ad clicks anymore.
You become an ecosystem.
Yes. The traditional standalone store is replaced by these decentralized, interwoven curation networks where every single storefront is just one entry point into a massive shared inventory web. It totally changes what it means to stock the shelves.
It completely challenges the very definition of where a store's boundaries begin and end.
It really does. So the next time you are lying awake dreaming about expanding your store's inventory and growing your revenue, remember the mechanics we unpacked today. You might not actually need a bigger warehouse or a massive business loan. You might just need a better network.